What is going on? Are you misfiring over that? We can't start a show with a misfire. Come on,
Misfire. I
man.
mean, it was terrible. The batteries. I don't know if the batties are dead. I
No,
don't know.
well,
We still got
we'll save the money, guy. There we go. Just throw the money around. Just do a
Yeah,
little
we just
little
throw it up in the
52
air.
card pickup. You remember that game?
Oh, I learned that one early, Chris. Somebody in the family, older cousin, got me with that one. The Hertz donut. They got me.
Oh yeah,
I had a lot of older cousins, so I was one got my ass kicked.
capital of Thailand.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got that
Oh
one a
yeah,
couple times too.
that one's no.
That's
You
not a
learned
fun
that
one to
one
learn.
once. Yeah, all
Right.
these. I mean, I tried 52 card pickup with my kids. They didn't find it so funny. So, welcome into the show. Not how we thought we were going to start, but hey, you never know what you're going to get here on Woodward Bets Beer and Scott in the house here on this Wednesday, breaking everything down in the sports world. And Scott, I'd be remiss if I didn't toot our horn a little bit here. Go to the whiteboard. We always start with the whiteboard. And best bets locked in last night. So I know you went 1-0-1, so we had a push in there. 3-0 on my picks. Michigan State gets it done for us. San Antonio, easy win against Houston. And Portland survives. So there he is. We're dancing on this Wednesday. We're feeling good. But as I always say, we're only as good as today. So any thoughts on yesterday? Anything that happened? Sparties, we can spend a minute on that. We talked some Cade Cunningham, has an amazing performance last night. You definitely needed him in your DFS contest. The Pistons come up short. So let's talk Sparty. Let's talk Pistons here. Recap some of the stuff you saw yesterday on those two games.
Yeah, I mean the Sparties were continuously down like 10 to 12 points the whole game, and then they scratched and clawed and got right back in there. And that line dropped from like 4.5 to 1.5 late with the news of the Illini's two big players going to end up missing that game last night. But hey, Sparties fought back. They actually had a chance there at the end to cover, or actually to win outright, and but came a little short. But hey, they covered that 1.5 for us. That's all we needed. That little extra hook there, and that 1.5 was like about as late as you could get. If you were a little bit earlier, you might have got 2.5. But either way, Chris, it was a cover for us. So anytime we get a cover, we don't care if it's by 1 or if it's by 20 or a half. It covered. That's just all that matters.
Yep, the easy ones are nice. Like the Spurs last night. That was a no-brainer. And then I was up late sweating out that Portland. We had Portland +3. They end up losing by 2. So like I said, 1 point or 30. A win's a win, a loss is a loss, and it kind of goes both ways. So Michigan State, I mean, they had their chances at the end. Illinois went scoreless. I believe it was the last 5 minutes of the game. So, come up a little bit short. But, again, in the betting world, like it says on the screen, good teams win, great teams cover. That's all we're really worried about. I know the Sparty fans out there would have liked the win to go along with it. But, again, they had their chances all the way right down to the end. Illinois certainly had their chances to put that game away and just went eerily quiet down the stretch, but that makes sense. You're missing your best players. That's certainly going to happen. As far as the Pistons go, Scott, thoughts on that? I'm pulling up the box score here for Cade Cunningham, but I know he was a monster last night. I mean, the guy just went nuts. Again, if you didn't have him in your DFS lineups last night, probably was a rough night for you. So 34, 8-8 for Cade Cunningham last night against the Denver Nuggets. Jokic, as we thought, we talked a little Jokic on the stream as well. We liked some of his overs. He certainly went over pretty much everything. 28 points, 21 rebounds for Nikola Jokic, and 9 assists. So I think we were on the points on him at about 24.5, 25.5, whatever it was. But Cade certainly lived up to the billing of the number 1 pick last night against Denver.
Yeah, Chris, I'm liking that bet we got on Rookie of the Year for Cade Cunningham. He is looking like he is pulling ahead there for that award, especially after last night. I mean, 34 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. And Chris, if you look at the box score, what I found odd, he didn't even shoot any free throws. He had 0 free throw attempts. I mean, usually if you're a star player, I mean, they hand you a couple free throws in a game, it seems like. I mean, the kid isn't getting any calls either, but you know what? It's good for him. He's stepping up here. I mean, he's showing that he is worthy of the number 1 pick. I know, our boy down there in Houston thought that he should have had the number one pick, been the number one pick. But for me, Cade is looking like he's the real deal. 4 blocks, 2 steals. I mean, that is a FanDuel dream there. I'm just trying to add it up really quick in my head, Chris. And I want to say
he was
that,
around 70, I want to say.
yeah,
I'll pull it up here, but yeah, somewhere around 70. I'll get it. Keep talking.
18. Let's see, that's what, yeah, 26.2. Yeah, that's about 68 points maybe. But either way, I mean, he was up there last night the Hardens, the Jokers, and the Embiids. They all had 70 some points last night. So, those guys pretty much canceled themselves out. But if you didn't have Cade at his price last night, you weren't cash. You weren't winning any tournaments without Mr. Cunningham. So exciting to see the rookie. Hopefully he continues to keep going here, because as you guys all know, I've been rooting on Cade all season. I think my rookie of the year bets that I have are looking pretty, sitting there in my bullpen there in my bets. So good for Cade. Good to see. Maybe we get another piece or two, add a free agency piece, Chris, and maybe the Pistons can fight for playoff spots and move on up the ladder here. But exciting to watch Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see what happens with Jeremy Grant. Heard some talks yesterday that they submitted a list of teams that he would like to be traded to. First of all, you don't have a no trade clause in your contract. Second of all, you're Jeremy freaking Grant. You're not Michael Jordan. You're not Kobe Bryant.
Right.
Like you don't get to submit a list of teams. You're not at that level. So we'll see. I think that would be a shrewd move of the Pistons, is moving on from him. Getting some more capital, expiring contracts, whatever it may be. Like we've said, all these teams locally are doing it right, the Pistons included. So certainly a big performance. It come up a little bit short, but you got to like what you saw from Cade Cunningham. So pulling up the winning lineup from last night while we were talking about it, 69.6 fantasy points for Cade Cunningham on FanDuel. Scott, I had some lineup right around that 400-point mark I had last night. You were not even coming close at 400. I mean, the winning score, 487, a 70 burger from Cade, 67 from Harden, who, again, we talked about yesterday on the show, 73 from Joel Embiid, and then that New Orleans value hit for you. Ernan Gomez, 43 FanDuel points. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 45 FanDuel points. A big number from Anthony Edwards as well. He dropped 40 points, just points last night, 67 FanDuel points. So just one of them crazy scoring nights where you don't have, this guy had all the 70 burgers in one lineup. I mean, 280-ish points from 4 guys. That's pretty impressive.
That is impressive. I mean, those nights like that, when the scoring is high, obviously the chalk is hit, and a lot of these guys are putting up big numbers. But that just cracks me up, man. Back in the day at DFS, if you hit 300, you were dancing, like you were having a good night. If you hit 300 nowadays, it's like 350. You're lucky even to hit the cash line on some nights. I know I've had a couple 400-point nights, and barely scraping the top 10% in a tournament, which is man, it's just like, come on, what do you got to do here? It's like you get the big night, and what'll happen tonight, Chris? The winning score will be about 320.
Yep.
It's just usually the way it works.
Yeah, just pretty incredible lineup here for the winner, and definitely a stars and scrubs approach. Had those New Orleans guys, Jose Alvarado, another guy we talked about yesterday, had him in the lineup. Had some high-owned guys. I mean, Nickeil Alexander-Walker was 66% owned in the big FanDuel tournament. Had some low-owned guys. Malik Monk at 1% ownership, 15% only on Joel Embiid, which is a little surprising, but a big night for that young man or lady here on FanDuel. So, high-scoring night. So let's talk about something we talked about yesterday. We'll switch gears to a little MLB talk here again. I know it's snowing. I know it's January. Like the MLB talk, give us a few minutes here. We'll get back to the sports that are in play right now. But we saw David Ortiz inducted into the Hall, Scott, and the only guy inducted into the Hall, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. We talked about it yesterday. We both felt pretty passionate about them getting in, but looks like that is not going to happen. They missed the cut here for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, to me, it's just a shame. I can't believe these writers have anointed themselves to be the morale police here for the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's just bullshit. I mean, how can you have a guy literally. Barry Bonds got walked with the bases damn loaded against the Arizona D-backs. They ended up actually, it worked out for Buck Showalter. I don't know how, but it ended up working out. They ended up getting Jeff Kent out next at bat, end up winning the game 8-7. But who gets walked with the bases loaded other than, I believe, Josh Hamilton? I believe it happened with him once. But either way, I mean, Barry Bonds is one of the best hitters in baseball history, period. I don't understand how he's not in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens is one of the best pitchers as well. And to me, Chris, I think it's a little black eye here on the Hall of Fame. I just know the baseball snobs, kind of like myself here. I mean, to me, it just diminishes the Baseball Hall of Fame. You can't have some of these guys in there. You know, Ortiz can't hold a candle to Barry Bonds. I mean, that's just a shame. They both tested the positive for the PEDs. I mean, these writers just need to get over it. That was the era. Put it on their plaque. Tell the story. They shouldn't be able to determine what the story is. It's the Hall of Fame. The story should tell itself, and that's what these writers need to worry about. Not, you know, who gets voted here. But I still think they're going to get in with the Veterans Committee, and then I'm going to be interested to see these guys' speech and see what they end up telling the writers of Baseball Writers of America. But it's just a shame, Chris. I mean, you were around in the Bonds heyday. I mean, when that dude came up, we all saw he got one pitch in that bat, two pitches in that bat, and the dude barreled him up. I mean, it's amazing. Go look at how many intentional walks he had in 2001. I mean, it was that was one hell of a season when he has 73 homers. I don't care. I saw it with my own eyes. It was an incredible feat, and I'll never forget it. So to me, the best hitter that is alive is not in the Hall of Fame, and I think it's a shame.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see if, I don't know if Spencer can get this up. I'm putting the pressure on him here, but there were some comments from Roger Clemens. I wanted to read a little bit of that. Spencer, don't worry about it if we can't get it up on the screen. So he said, "Hey y'all, I figured I'd give y'all a statement since it's that time of the year again. My family and I put the Hall of Fame in the rearview mirror 10 years ago. I didn't play baseball to get into the Hall of Fame. I played to make a generational difference in the lives of my family, then focus on winning championships while giving back to my community and the fans as well. It was my passion. I gave it all I had the right way for my family and for the fans who supported me. I'm grateful for that support. I would like to thank those who took the time to look at the facts and vote for me. Hopefully everyone can now close this book and keep their eyes forward, focusing on what is really important in life, all love." So, you know, it's kind of, I think he knew, you know, you probably knew. I mean, it's one of those situations. As Roger Clemens, I'm sure you're hopeful you get in the Hall of Fame. You can dismiss it all you want, you know, your last shot here. But you're also, you know, you kind of take the glass half full, glass half empty, however you want to look at it, approach and figure probably not likely. If I get in, it's a surprise. I'm happy about it, of course. If I don't, you know, hey, maybe I did move on a long time ago. So, any thoughts on those comments? Kind of what you would expect him to come out and say.
Yeah, I mean, they all have to say, you know,
There it
something
is.
like that. There it is there from Spencer. I know, you know, a few of these guys, I'm sure they already kind of knew. I'm sure their agents are out probably politicking for them behind the scenes to these writers. And I'm sure a lot of that has gone on. You know, we probably don't hear a lot about that. I'm sure they already knew pretty much what the outcome was going to be. I mean, you know, you see David Ortiz when he was sitting around and the phone rang, you know, and he's got 15, 20 people standing around him. Obviously, you know, they know about when they're going to call and all that, and they have the video running. But, you know, to me, Chris, though, like I said, you know, hey, if I go and let's just say I take my grandson in 10 years or something to the Baseball Hall of Fame and Barry Bonds is not in there, I mean, I'm walking around there thinking, man, I can't even tell the kid about the guy who has the most home runs in baseball. I mean, to me, it's just politics at this time. It's just bull crap. I was kind of thinking to myself, maybe these beat writers are afraid of the backlash that they're going to get from social media. Because, like, I mean, 20, 30 years ago, you know, they didn't really publish. It was hard to find out who voted really for who. Now, all of a sudden, with social media, these dudes' ballots are literally being plastered all over Twitter, social media, whatever else. So, you know, it's instant, you know, boom, you know, people arguing, or you're going to run into somebody who's not happy about it, and then you got to sit and deal with it. So I just think social media has kind of amped up the pressure a little bit on some of these beat writers, and it's a shame. But man, just it should be by the numbers. I don't give a shit what they did on the field. I mean, what are we going to do? Go back through all the Hall of Fame and start canceling guys like Ty Cobb and, some of these other guys that were booze bags and womanizers and everything else. It's the era. Tell the damn story. That's the way I believe.
Yeah, we're on the same page with that. So we'll see if there's any comments further from Clemens, Barry Bonds, but it is what it is. So we can still tell that story. They don't have to necessarily be in the Hall of Fame to be Hall of Famers. In my book, it's kind of like movies you like. You may think some movies are the greatest comedy of all time, Scott. I may think they're the dumbest movie of all time. We all have our rights to what we think should happen. You and I both believe these guys should be in there. There's still going to be guys I tell stories about to my grandkids. I mean, they were incredible. They were some of the best players that we ever saw through that era. So, sure, there's the black eye of things, but certainly, and there's Clemens. Thank you for the great responses. Much appreciated. Not sure if I did the thread right, so here's a screenshot, he says. So, it's just a country boy that was flat out dominant. If you're a younger viewer, you haven't seen a lot of these guys, go do your own research. Go check out some of the highlights and see how good these guys were. And even before the steroid era, you can make the argument, Scott. Roger Clemens was just as good with Boston, in the late 80s, early 90s, before any of this started. Same with Barry Bonds, his time with Pittsburgh. And, he's a skinny little thing, but the dude could hit, he could field, he could do it all. And the power was still there. Does he hit 73 home runs? We can debate that all we want. But the point is these guys are both world-class talents. So a shame, according to both of us here, that they did not get in. But, Scott, let's before we get into some college hoops, that this one starting here momentarily. So wanted to talk some Michigan Northwestern for people. But also want to say thank you and a shout-out to one of the sponsors of the show, My Better Rate Mortgage. At My Better Rate, you want to get treated like family is more than blood, I should say. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, get treated better with My Better Rate Mortgage. Visit mybetterrate.com. Give them a call today, 248-480-4467 for all of your mortgage needs. We are happy to have them aboard here as the official sponsor of the Woodward Bet Show, one of the official sponsors. We got one more to talk about. So we got a little mortgage and some other things to dabble in here. But mybetterrate.com, make sure you're going and checking that out today. All right, let's talk some college hoops here, Scott. Northwestern and Michigan on the docket here tonight. So another local team in play. Michigan -8 here. That has jumped up a little bit from the opening of 7, total at 138.5. So let's get some quick thoughts on this game. Northwest, both these teams not been very good against the spread. We know that. Michigan just 6-10 against the number. Northwestern 7-10. Looking at some of Northwestern's wins, we're talking about teams like High Point and Fairleigh Dickinson and NJIT. I don't even know what the hell that is. Illinois Springfield Prairie. Now they do have one impressive win. They went to Michigan State and won. They went to Maryland and won. So they have shown they can win on the road. The Wolverines have looked good lately. Did they continue the role here? Does Northwestern pull the upset?
I really like Michigan here, Chris. I think they're playing really well here. Dickinson's been getting back on track. They had some of them COVID issues there at the little bit of beginning, getting through these hiccups. They're playing that Juwan Howard basketball that he wants them to play. I mean, last game, Wolverines 11 of 17 behind three-point range against Indiana, so they're starting to shoot pretty well. Dickinson had a career-high 3 3-pointers, 25 points, and Houston also had a career-high in three-pointers with 5 and 19 points. So Northwestern's been struggling on the glass. I think with Dickinson and the boys here, I think we should be able to get a pretty fairly easy victory. I actually have them minus 11, Chris, in a parlay. I went through the alternate odds and took them at minus 11. I believe I have it at minus 140. So I kind of like that, but yes, I'm all over Michigan here in this spot. I think it'll just be a little bit too much for Northwestern to handle. So you still got a few minutes. It starts at 6:30 tonight, little early start. Michigan at home. I think they win by a dozen or so points here, Chris.
Yeah, I'm not as I like Michigan. I'm not as strong about it. I worry a little bit here. Are they? Yes, they've looked better. Are they completely back on track? That story is yet to be played out. One other thing to keep in mind here, Scott, they have a showdown with Michigan State. We know that's the rival, Ohio State, of course, but Their next game is in East Lansing against the Michigan State Spartans. I believe on the 29th is that game. So I always have to ask the question, any concern about a potential look ahead here where they think, well, we're going to roll Northwestern. Let's start planning for Michigan State. That is a little bit of a concern for me here tonight.
That's always a concern, especially with young college kids. Yes, absolutely. But I just don't think Northwestern has the guns to keep up. If they were playing a little bit more pesky of a team, I would be a little bit more concerned. I just don't think Northwestern, that time when the Sparties beat them, the Sparties basically gave them the game. They had 17 turnovers in that game. So obviously, that's kind of hard to come back from. But being at home, I think it's tough to win at home, on the road in the Big Ten. I just don't think Northwestern has much, and this one could get away with them fairly quickly. So I'm rolling with the Wolves here.
All right, let's talk some hockey here as well. We got the Red Wings in action tonight. The Blackhawks in town here, 7 o'clock. Drop of the puck here. Detroit minus 115, total at 5.5 on this one. So did you touch base with our hockey expert here? Beast, do you have any thoughts on this, or are you just rolling off the cuff with your recent hockey knowledge here? What do we got for the Red Wings tonight?
I've been paying a little attention to the hockey here recently. I mean, the Blackhawks here on a 4-game losing streak. The Red Wings were beat over the weekend here back twice. The Red Wings only won the last 3 of their 11 games, which is a little bit concerning. But I think these 2 original 6 teams squaring off tonight should be a pretty good game. I do like the Red Wings here. The Blackhawks have been struggling to score goals. They just scored 6 goals in their last 4 games, which obviously is not that good. But for me, Chris, I think the Red Wings here, a bet that I actually like the Red Wings to win the first period. You can actually get that at plus 170. So they just need to be ahead in the first period. You can put that one in the bank. I actually have that one with Michigan minus the 11 on the alternate line. Red Wings to win the first period. And then I have a couple NBA games thrown in there that we'll get to later. But yeah, I like the Red Wings here, Chris. I was actually looking at a couple of the guys to score goals. You can look at a guy like Bertuzzi. I want to say he was plus 160 or 170 to score a goal tonight, so I didn't mind that one at all. But Chris, I like the Red Wings here on the money line. You can actually take the puck line, give them minus 1.5. It's at plus 200 if you think they're going to win by 2 goals. I don't mind that either. That's a pretty juicy number to throw in a parlay. But I actually like the Wings to win the first period, plus 172.
All right, looking through some of these trends is interesting. Actually, looking at the Blackhawks season, and I want to lay this out here because I find it pretty fascinating. They went through a stretch from November 12th through, about December 17th. So about over a 1-month stretch, Scott. They alternated wins and losses for 13 games. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. Then they go on a 6-game losing streak. December 17th through January 6th. Then they rip off 4 straight wins, January 8th through the 15th. Now they've lost 3 in a row here this week, basically the 21st through today. So a very streaky team. So just according to that, I mean, we'll add to your analysis here. They're probably due for another loss here. Plus, they have lost 6 of their last 8 on the road. So I'm with you on the Red Wings here. Everything you said makes sense, and just some crazy trends there. That win loss, win loss, win loss, and then the huge losing streak, a winning streak, starting another losing streak here. So to me, the Red Wings, we talked about it the other day, been pretty good on their home ice here. The line seems a little bit too low. You would think this one would be closer to 125, 130. So I am with you here on the Red Wings beating the Blackhawks.
Chris, real quick, one stat I just thought it was interesting. I just looked up the Chicago Blackhawks in the first period, and goals for 0.57 goals in the first period, goals against in the first period, 1.43. They're literally almost giving up a goal and a half a game in the first period. And you look at the Red Wings, 0.68 goals against 0.73. So they're both under a goal, but that's pretty staggering. 1.43 goals against in the first period. So I really like that first, even seeing that just made me really solidify my bet there. I might even throw a little bit more on that here, just seeing that. So give me the first period in the Red Wings. That's looks like a juicy one.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I want to add here, we didn't really prep for it. I'm just kind of seeing this now, so kind of throwing this out of left field. But talk a little college football here, and the Big Ten considering getting rid of the division, Scott, and just making it one giant conference to help their chase for national championships, things like that. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Just group them all together, and you don't have the two different divisions. So haven't done a ton of reading on this, but saw the story. Wanted to get your thoughts here on this. I'm sure we'll talk more about this here throughout the week, but pretty interesting. The Big Ten looking to just go all one, no divisions, just one big giant pool of teams.
Yeah, I mean they'd have to have some kind of rotation, obviously, because they're going to want to keep the rivalries intact and not miss, Ohio State or Michigan State for some of these teams. But hey, I'm all for it if it helps out the Big Ten. We need every little advantage that they can get. If it helps them, set up championship games or whatever else for down the road. Maybe they have a little playoff. Maybe they take the top four teams there at the end, have just a game or two game little playoff for the conference championship. But hey, whatever it takes. I mean, it does seem silly every year you're sending a Iowa or somebody along those lines from the other side that probably don't belong there, and then you got two or three teams that are better, either in Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State, Michigan, somebody on that side. So we'll see. Hopefully they do that. That would be kind of cool. I'd like to see some changes. At least it makes me believe that they're trying to stay competitive, because I think the landscape of college football is going to change immensely here in the next 5 years with all this NIL stuff going on.
Yeah, and this article I'm reading, courtesy of CBS Sports, talks about no West Division team has won the conference in the 8 years since the format was introduced. The last time a West Division team even played its opponent within a touchdown in the conference championship game was 2017 when Wisconsin lost to Ohio State. And then they talked about recruiting. All 7 of the East schools ranked ahead of the Big Ten West in recruiting rankings. So there's something to be said. The Big Ten West has been the whipping boy here for Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan. So maybe this balances things out. As far as schedule-wise, like you said, they'll keep the rivalries. They'll obviously that is probably the first and foremost of things that they're going to look into. But maybe it balances out the recruiting, and it's not such a top-heavy conference. We always have a couple powerhouses, and then you have your 4, 5, 6 bottom feeders, and then the middle teams are what they are. So we'll see. I think it's a good idea. There's no reason to have divisions, in my opinion, as long as those teams that have those outstanding rivalries still get to play them. We don't really need divisions. So again, a story we'll keep an eye on. I'll keep you updated on that. Let's talk some NBA here. Slate is locking here soon, so want to get that information out to the people. So as we always do, we'll start with injury, Scott, and there is a ton of injury. So I'll try to keep it to the big names here, but we'll start with Brooklyn. No Kevin Durant, no Kyrie Irving once again. So we saw what happens in this scenario. James Harden goes nuclear, triple-double. I think that's certainly another possibility here tonight. Clippers, once again, without Paul George. De'Aaron Fox, so we'll keep an eye on him. Questionable for the Sacramento Kings. And I don't know if you saw that score, Scott. They lost by about 50 last night in Boston. Fred VanVleet, still questionable, so another guy we're keeping an eye on. No Damian Lillard, once again, for Portland. Indiana will be without Domantas Sabonis. DeAndre Ayton and JaVale McGee remain out for the Phoenix Suns. No Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert for the Utah Jazz here tonight. Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner also going to miss for Indiana. Kyle Lowry out once again for Miami. And Lonzo Ball remains out for Chicago. Other names we're keeping an eye on. Will Barton for Denver. We'll see if he's able to return. Scotty Barnes for Toronto. Gordon Hayward for Charlotte. Sounds like the Knicks will get Mitchell Robinson back, and that should be everything as far as big names go. So it's got a lot of games on the slate. We once again have to start with James Harden, but monster number the other night. Pretty cheap on FanDuel. I mean, you compare the two, 11.5 on DraftKings tonight, 10,200 on FanDuel. So much easier to fit him in on FanDuel tonight. He is certainly my headliner. Who are you looking at for NBA DFS tonight?
Yeah, kind of crazy, Chris. I always like to kind of pay attention to the guys who are on back-to-back nights because a lot of times they might get a little bit of rest. We got 9 teams on back-to-back tonight. It's a pretty big number for a normal slate. But yeah, you're right. Harden without Durant and Kyrie. I mean, the usage is just unbelievable. His price actually went down. He was 10.5 yesterday. Now he's 10.2, which seems a little bit odd. But some of the value, Brunson. I mean, he's just been playing outstanding here recently. You got to consider him. You can look at the Jazz again for maybe a little bit of value with Bogdanovich at 6,100 on FanDuel, and then Hassan Whiteside there at center as well. But I mean, you look at guys too from the Raptors. Gary Trent Jr. He's a guy you could look at. Siakam, I think, isn't a bad play. But Chris, one of my favorite guys here to play recently is Ja Morant. I just think Ja Morant is just going to be one of the NBA superstars here moving forward. I mean, this guy's incredible. He's fun to watch. He's smooth. He's slick. I mean, this dude's got a left hand that's unbelievable. So I saw him throw a bounce pass the other day with his left hand, and I mean that's some talent. I mean, I think that kid is incredible. So definitely like some Ja Morant, but just as you mentioned, I mean, you got to pretty much start with Harden. If you don't want Harden, I guess you could jam the Joker in there. If there's some more value, maybe we could build more of a stronger, type stars and scrubs lineup as we were talking about earlier with the guy who ended up scoring one the 480. Nailed those low price guys, but I think looking at a guy like Joker, I mean, man, 1.79 FanDuel points a minute. This guy is averaging, especially without Barton. He gets a little bit better. He gets a little bit more minutes. So I think that's where you got to start, Chris. It's either you got to look at Harden or you got to look at the Joker, and then kind of throw in some value guys.
Yeah, Harden for me, but Joker is not going to have a ton of ownership here. I mean, there's a lot of valued centers tonight. FanDuel, you got to lock in that center. You don't have that utility spot. So DraftKings, you got a little bit more flexibility where you can fit a couple of these guys. But I mean, Scott, we got Gogo Batadze of Indiana going to be pretty popular here tonight as a value play with Sabonis, Miles Turner on the show. Hassan Whiteside once again with no Rudy Gobert. My favorite value play, Bismack Biyombo of Phoenix. He had a big game the other night, and again, they're not only without Ayton, they're also without JaVale McGee, so they don't really have any other centers. Jay Crowder also going to be out for Phoenix, so he's going to play a ton of minutes. So if people can save at that spot, Nikola Vucevic, even on the higher end, is probably going to see some ownership as well. So your point about Joker, he is a nice consolation to James Harden, but the ownership looking like it could be pretty low on him tonight. Not going to be single digits or anything, but we're going to get a nice little discount as far as he goes. So those are the two highlights on the high end. As far as value goes, you got to look to Utah once again. Jordan Clarkson has been a guy, just keep cramming in there. Joe Ingles should play plenty of minutes. Orlando should provide you some value. Guys like Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, the price going up a little bit, but he's playing incredible right now. Kessler Edwards of Brooklyn going to see a ton of minutes without Durant and Irving in the lineup. So those are a few of the highlights for me. Terrence Mann of the Clippers, pretty cheap. That's another team you can look to. Guys like Luke Kennard, Coffey played well the other night. You mentioned Ja Morant. I like him, but I also like Jaren Jackson Jr. at a little bit of a discount on that same team. But it starts and ends with James Harden for me, and Bismack Biyombo, probably my favorite, kind of off the radar center play here for tonight. So any other thoughts here for DFS-wise? Again, this slate's locking here shortly, so hopefully we don't need 500 points once again tonight, but we're still going to give it a go. But gave the people a bunch of options there. Anything else you're looking at here in NBA DFS?
Chris, I got 3 teams tonight. I actually have 2 with Harden, and I have 1 with the Joker, just fading Harden there. And then I also think what I may do, Chris, maybe I'll throw a bet down on Harden's prop there. His player points and assists is at 39. So I think, if you go that route, maybe you can cover yourself, maybe hedge a little bit. But I mean, hey, if Harden does not do well and you do not have him and the Joker goes off, I mean, that's going to be almost an instant way to get yourself up high in these tournaments, because I'm going to guess Harden is going to be pretty highly owned tonight.
Yeah, I would guess. Let me give you a little history here with James Harden, and some people love the history, some don't. I get it. Different teams, different coaches, different players, but James Harden has scored 50 or more DraftKings points against Denver on 12 of the last 14 times that he's played that team. So, as far as your bet goes, pretty solid odds that he's going to get to those numbers here. Pretty good history against Denver. And again, without Kyrie, without Durant, he just has to do it all. So those triple double bets in play as well. You don't get ton odds on Harden these days, but still get some pretty good return on those numbers. So speaking of bets, that's actually we got a little promo here. Another sponsor of the show here. So why don't you let the people know about one of our newest sponsors here at Woodward Bets?
Yeah, the Jars Cannabis Company. Shop jarscannabis.com. They offer in-store pickup. They offer delivery as well. Michigan's largest variety for any of the lifestyle needs. Jars Cannabis is a medical and recreational retailer located throughout Michigan, Lansing, Detroit, Flint, Grand Rapids, and more. And Chris, if you mention Woodward Sports and the Woodward Bet Show, you get 20% off at any Jars location. So, hey, enjoy those couple free pre-rolls that we hook you up with. And don't forget to give us a little shout out, too. I actually went over to one of the locations and had a pretty good time over there. Was really happy. Everybody was really nice. And I'll be sure to be going back again. But, yeah, Chris, those guys over there gave me a couple free little samples there. I had a couple pre-rolls and surely enjoyed those the last few days. So sitting around watching some sports, stuffing some chips and some sandwiches down the belly here. The munchies get it rolling, but hey, it's always a good time to sit around, melt in your chair and watch some sports. And man, I was close to hitting a good one last night, Chris, the parlay. I was telling you, Spartans win on the money line, man. I cashed a good one. So had some excitement there, a little fun sweat, but won all the other bets. So it was always a good night when it's in the green.
Absolutely. So welcome aboard, Two Jars. Glad to have them a part of the team here at Woodward Bets for sure. So glad that you're getting to sample the product. I mean, that's important. You gotta know what we're dealing with here. So welcome aboard, Two Jars. All right, best part of the show, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, I'm sure. Hopefully, don't just fast forward to the end. We want to provide you some insightful commentary and thoughts throughout the show, but. It's time for best bets. Time to make the people some money, Scott. We can talk about that record behind you, but again, we're only as good as tonight. Let's stay hot. Let's stay on a roll here. Give the people some winners. Best bets for Wednesday night. What do we got?
Chris, I got 3 today. First one, Red Wing game, 7:30. I got the Red Wings in the first period, plus that 170. I really like that bet, especially after seeing what their goals against was. And the second one I have, Chris, the last 2 I have are both here in the NBA. I have the Miami Heat at home against the Knicks, who've been struggling recently. The Heat are 8-2 against the spread in their last 10. So I'm going to take them at home, giving 5.5 to the Knicks. And then my last one, Chris, I'm going to go with the over in the Memphis-San Antonio game, over 228. I think John Morant and crew put up some points in this game. So give me the over in that one.
All right, you didn't snake any of my bets today. So I got three fresh ones here ready to go. I'm going to start, Scott, I'm going to give you a team that has 9 wins on the season that I really like tonight. I'm going the Orlando Magic here at home. The spread's definitely been on the move here. Opened up with the Clippers as the favorite. It swung to Orlando -1.5 here. And we talked about the Clippers, going to be without Paul George, potentially without Morris once again here tonight. They are really going to be thin on offense. Orlando getting Jalen Suggs going here. We mentioned Cole Anthony in the beginning. This is a very young team, but they can get it done here tonight. I really like Orlando here at home, -1.5. So I'll lead off with them. Then we're going to go with Chicago at home, -4 against Toronto. Again, Toronto could be without some key pieces here tonight as well. The Bulls playing incredible right now. So just a 4-point spread. I like them at home. And then I'm going with Phoenix on the road here with Utah. We mentioned no Mitchell, no Gobert for the Jazz. This is a disrespectful line to me for the Phoenix Suns at just -1.5. So I know they're missing a lot of guys as well, but I think the Suns go in there and get it done in Utah. So once again, the 9-win Orlando Magic. That's right. -1.5 as one of the bets. Chicago -4 here at home, and the Phoenix Suns -1.5 in Utah. So very, very rare that I give 3 favorites here as best bets, but that's what we got. for tonight. Scott, final thoughts for the people Wednesday night. What do we got?
Appreciate everybody listening. Hey, as always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for us. Get over there, follow our socials, get over there at Woodward Bets, and then, of course, at the Woodward Sports Network. But, Chris, hopefully I got a couple of these parlays already locked in. I think we're going to be looking at some lunch money tomorrow. Keep this whiteboard with that 0 up there. Let's see how long we can keep that 0 there. And we always like it when Spencer pulls out the dancing man when we're starting to win some cash. So always like the dancing man instead of that stinky guy. So let's keep the guy a dancing here on the show. That's what I like to see.
That's right. We want to see him, not the stinky guy. That's the goal of every single show. Also, the goal is to entertain you guys, give you some winning bets. So if you're trailing these bets, we've helped you in any way, please let us know. At Woodward Bets on Twitter. Would love to hear it. Build a little testimonial. Let your friends know. Come check out the show as well. Like Scott said, make sure you're following us there. Make sure you're following the network as well at Woodward Sports. Tons of great shows all throughout the day. The morning show, Big D Energy. And, of course, the bottom line. We got the Woodward Heavyweights. Want to give Spencer and Easy a little shout-out here. Tremendous podcast, very entertaining. So make sure you guys are checking that out as well. But we appreciate each and every one of you. You want to leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening at your favorite podcast app. We would appreciate it. Hit that thumbs-up button on YouTube. And let's talk it up. Love talking sports with you guys there in the YouTube chat. So for Scott, for Spencer, producing the show Behind the Glass, I am Beer. We are Woodward Bets. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Best of luck with your DFS and your bets tonight, and we will catch you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.